On YouTube, this is the Middle School Math Man. This video is going to be another video on quadratics. More specifically, we're going to be talking about using the discriminant. So if you remember, this is the quadratic formula. The discriminant is the part of the quadratic formula that is underneath the square root, so b squared minus 4ac. And what the discriminant tells us is how many solutions is the quadratic going to have. So our three options, we're going to have two solutions, one solution, or no solutions. Those are our three types of solutions we're going to have. So if d is greater than 0, so whenever we solve the discriminant, we're going to get a number. Now the number that we get is going to tell us if there are two solutions, no solution, or one solution. So if we solve the discriminant, we're going to solve a couple here in a second, and we get a number that is greater than 0, that means that there are two solutions. If we solve it and we get d is 0, it's equal to 0, that means there are one solution. And then finally, if d is less than 0, then there are no solutions. That just means 0, no solution. Alright, so that is something to keep in mind as we are working through these problems. So all we're focused on is the part that's underneath that square root from the quadratic formula, b squared minus 4ac. So remember, the number in front of the x squared is the a, so in this case it would be 1. The number in the middle with the x is b, and the last number is c. So we have 5 squared, we're just going to plug in the numbers for the variables, minus 4ac, remember a is 1, and finally c is 4. So when we simplify this, we have 5 squared, so that's 25, minus 4 times 1 times 4, 4 times 1 times 4 is 16, so 25 minus 16 is 9. So if we go back a slide here, if d is greater than 0, 9 is greater than 0, that means that there are two solutions. Now you could use the quadratic formula, you could use factoring, you could graph it. All those methods you could then use to solve what the solutions actually are, but the discriminant is going to tell us how many there are. So that would tell us that there are two solutions to this problem. Same thing here. b squared minus 4ac. So, remember those parentheses. b is negative 3 minus 4ac. So negative 3 in parentheses squared, that's negative 3 times negative 3, which is 9. Then we have 4 times 1 times 10, that's 40. So 9 minus 40, obviously we are going to have a negative number. So remember, if d is less than 0, that means that there are no solutions. Alright, so that would be no solution. Last problem here for you. This one looks a little bit different, right? You got to keep in mind that you need to make sure that it's in standard form. In this case, it is not in standard form. Standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. All right, I need to get this negative 2 over to the left side. So before we do anything else, that is what we should do. In order to get that negative 2 over to the left, I would have to add 2. All right, so now we're going to use a discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. In this case, we do have a number in the a position. It's not just 1, it's 2. So I have 16 minus 4 times 2 times 2. 4 times 2 times 2 is 16. And 16 minus 16 is 0. So remember, if the discriminant is 0, that means there are one solution. Or there is one solution. Again, you could use the quadratic formula, you could factor it, graph it, whatever you would like to actually solve for the solutions, but the discriminant tells us that there is one solution.